Well, hey, everybody, it's 3 p.m. and it's time for dinner with Nanny Bubby. So happy you're all here. Joining me today is one of the winners, one of the six of the summer barbecue tournament, Frank Solly, who's Solly or Solly?
Solly.
Solly, there we go. I knew that didn't sound right. Who is joining me today, and he actually joined me a couple months ago. Frank has written a cookbook and he loves cooking Italian. We did a little bit of a journey down his Italian background and how he became a cook and learned a lot about Frank. So if you're interested in that, go scroll down through our Nanny Bubby page and go ahead and look for that interview with Frank. So, hey, Frank, happy to have you here.
Thank you, and it's a pleasure being here again.
Good. So what was it that you cooked during the summer barbecue tournament that caused us to put your name in the hat? What was it? What recipe did you win for?
I made lemon flakes on a stick. And then I think for this one, I think it was the pina colada that I posted.
Okay. All right. So you won during the week of drinks, alcohol.
I believe so. I posted the photo of the pina colada.
Okay. All right. Well, Cynthia Berman says, hi, Marla. Hi, Frank. Brenda Kramer says, hi, Marla. Hi, Frank. And everybody's starting to come in and starting to find us. So Jeremy Leopold is here. So Jeremy, hi. Thank you for being here. So let me ask you a question. Yep, Brenda's saying hi. Everybody's here. So let me ask you a question. This chicken alla paisano, right? This is what you're making today, chicken alla paisano. So what makes this alla paisano? What exactly are the ingredients that are in this? Judy Woods is here. Everybody's finding us. Everybody's tuning in. Go ahead.
It's chicken breast that's cut in half. And then we're going to pan sear it into a nice color, into like a darkish color. And then we're going to simmer it in vodka sauce, top it with mozzarella and mushrooms.
Okay. All right. And Don Winderman is here. So say hi to Don. Hey, Don. Everybody's here. Lynn Donner is here, which is great. Okay. So start us out, Frank. What would you like? How would you like to start?
Well, I always start with my clean ingredients first. I never dirty the cutting board. Working with chicken, especially now with the coronavirus, you got to be very careful. So I always prepare my clean ingredients first, and then I do the chicken last. And then I just put the recipe together.
Okay. What did you say about the coronavirus and chicken? I didn't hear you. What did you say?
With the coronavirus and everything that's going on out there, and being that if you work with chicken and you can't cross-contaminate, I don't want to create like a new virus or.
Well, you just don't want botulism or salmonella to take over, right? So you said you prepared and cleaned everything else first, and then you went back and prepared the chicken?
Well, I didn't prepare anything yet. We're going to do that together. So.
Okay. Yeah, so Mark Goldberg said hello. Roseanne said hello. And Lynn Donner is watching. So, okay, go ahead.
Okay. So to start, I always starting with my garlic because I'm a garlic freak. I just love garlic. Can't get enough of it. Okay. We're going to thinly slice that.
Okay. And Celia is here. Hey, Celia.
Yeah, it only takes a few seconds. Thinly sliced. We're going to use 3 cloves, 3 large cloves.
Right.
You can go less. You don't have to put 3 cloves in.
Right.
You could use a little bit more if you want.
And you like to slice it instead of mince it.
Correct. For this recipe, I like putting it into thin slices. 8 ounces of cremini mushrooms.
Okay.
Already pre-sliced. That's how I buy it.
Okay. All right.
We're going to have a half a cup of chicken stock.
Okay.
1 cup of vodka sauce. Today I'm using the already bought prepared sauce because I'm having a problem with my kitchen. So.
Okay. I wanted to say just one thing. Don Winderman said his wife Joanne is Italian, so he loves watching when we're doing Italian dishes. And I would ask you, I know you're going to use a jarred vodka sauce, but I'm sure you know the technique for making vodka sauce. So do you mind just talking us through that as you go ahead to use the vodka sauce?
Yeah, well, the vodka sauce, I usually start out with a regular tomato. Usually I try to get like a full whole tomato. So I crush it by hand and
Mhm.
I'll put vodka and cream in there. And it's simple to make. You can make a homemade vodka sauce within 10, 15 minutes. And
Oh, really?
yeah,
That's
yeah.
great.
Yeah, I make homemade, I put garlic in there. And I try to make it as simple as possible. So I'll saute the garlic in olive oil, put the
Mhm.
tomatoes in, almost like a marinara sauce to start it out with. Then
Right.
I'll put the vodka and the cream. And as you know, when you
So
put
when
the
they call
cream,
it vodka sauce, they really are using real vodka in there for flavor.
yes, yes,
Because
I do use
obviously
real,
the alcohol burns off, correct?
yes. It burns off after 15 minutes of simmering, and
Mhm.
you don't really taste the alcohol, so you can give it to kids. It is kid friendly. And
Yeah,
yeah, I would have much have rather have using a homemade vodka sauce, but for today, this is gonna have to do.
it will do. It'll do just perfectly, Frank, not to worry. But I just was wondering, so when you use tomatoes, do you use fresh tomatoes to make the sauce or do you use canned tomatoes? What do you use?
If the season calls for it, I like to use fresh tomatoes.
Okay.
I'll parboil them, skin them, seed them, and then usually every year I do my tomato sauce in September. And
Uh-huh.
I do bushels and bushels of them. And I make it a very simple preparation where I could do it for different recipes, and vodka sauce is one of them. So,
So what you do is you actually, so everything sort of starts with a marinara, right? And then from there, you add the vodka and the cream, or you add,
correct. Now, when you say marinara, there's a lot of different variations of marinara. Some put oregano, some don't. Some put onion, some don't. I don't put none of that. For my regular sauce, I just put the tomato, a couple of fresh leaves of basil, and that's it, and salt.
and then
And then
from there, you turn it in. So you freeze that.
no,
And
I don't freeze it.
you don't
I
freeze jars of it?
no. What I do is I put it inside ball jars,
Okay.
boil the jars,
Mm-hmm.
and then once you have to put them underneath blankets for like 2 or 3 days, and then check to make sure that you have a good seal.
Right.
Once that's done, you can keep that sauce for 3, 4 years, and it's delicious.
On the shelf. It's shelf stable. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay. All right. Say hi to Heather Larico. She's here.
I
And
have a
well, we got a lot of Italians coming in today. So Frank, Solly, take it away.
yeah. Okay, so we already sliced up the garlic. The mushrooms are pre-sliced.
Uh-huh.
A half a cup of stock, 1 cup of vodka sauce, and for this recipe, I like using the deli sliced mozzarella that comes in the package and the low moisture, if I can.
Okay.
It just makes a much cleaner preparation for the final dish, and
Okay.
it's visually appealing. So,
Okay. Let's go. Say hi to Heather. She's here. She says hi, Frank. Okay. All right. So you sliced up the garlic.
yeah, slice up the garlic really thin. Make sure you don't have like no real big chunks in it. Nobody likes biting on a big chunk of garlic.
That's what I always say.
Yeah. Then we take regular olive oil, not extra virgin. You're going to take 2 tablespoons into a pan. Let that come up to temperature with the garlic. Usually I put the oil and the garlic into a cold pan. I never heat the pan up and get it hot and then put the oil in the garlic. If I had done that, the garlic would instantly burn.
Right.
So we don't do that. So once this becomes golden brown, we can add the mushrooms and sear the chicken. So for the chicken, we're gonna clean it, take off all the rough edges, stuff like this. This stuff I don't like. It's not presentable. And we're gonna cut that in half lengthwise.
So we have a question from Don Winderman. He said, can you roast the garlic first and then add the already roasted garlic? What are your thoughts about that?
I've never done that, but I'm sure you can. I mean, I don't see why not.
Yeah, just make sure that you don't over burn it in the hot pan because nobody
Right,
likes a big bite of roasted garlic. And Teresa Anderson is here, so say hi to Teresa.
Hi, Teresa. Yeah, now I came up with this recipe in my younger days. And usually, this was always for years. It's always been my go-to on date night because women, for some reason, I've never met a woman that didn't like penne alla vodka.
All right, so you take this and put it over a bed of penne, is that right?
Yes. Sometimes I'll put it over rice or polenta, and I'll cook it different ways. It depends. So to start, we're going to season the chicken with salt and pepper. Let me just lower the heat a little bit on that because that's starting to get a little hot. Season both sides with salt and pepper. What you want to do is before you season the chicken with salt and pepper, you're going to wash it under cold water and then pat it dry with paper towel. This has to be dry.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
And so I noticed that you cut, you sliced it in half lengthwise, and you prefer to do that rather than pounding it?
Correct. The reason why I don't like to pound this is because it's going into into the sauce, and it's going to be simmering for a few minutes.
Uh-huh.
Now, this is starting to get a little hot.
Okay.
So now it's time to add the chicken.
All right.
When I add the chicken into the pan, I always go with the thickest one first.
Oh, okay. And that is because it starts to cook first, so they all get cooked evenly?
Yes, because the chicken is different thicknesses. If I were to put this thin one in first, it would actually be overcooked by the time it comes out.
Right. Okay. Good,
So-
good hint. That's a great pro tip, Frank.
Yes. So what we're going to do is we're going to sear that until it gets a nice color on it. We're not going to cook it all the way through.
You're not gonna what? I missed that. What'd you say, dear?
We're not going to cook it all the way through.
Oh, you're not. Okay.
No. We're just trying to get some color on it. I want a nice deep golden brown color, because as you know, color is flavor.
Color is flavor. Yotam Ottolenghi says that's where everything is enriched. All those flavors are in the bottom of the pan, right? All the brownings at the bottom of a pan and on the top of the skin, right?
Yes. Okay, so once that gets brown, we're going to take that out. Now you could do this two ways. You could sear the chicken first and then add the garlic and then the rest of the ingredients. Or you could add the garlic first like I just did and then sear the chicken. It works both ways.
Okay.
There's really no wrong way to do this.
Now, did you take the garlic out or is it still in there?
It's still in it.
Okay.
Once the chicken goes in, the moisture releases from the chicken, it stops the garlic from cooking. Otherwise, you'd end up with burnt garlic.
Okay.
What you want is a nice brown color. And now we're going to remove this. All we want is color on it. That's all we're doing at this point.
And did you only get the color on one side of it or on both
Oh,
sides?
both sides.
Okay.
You never want one-sided chicken.
Right. Okay. Can you like hold up the chicken so we can see the browning of it?
Yes. Let me just remove this from the heat.
There you go. Okay, very good. So really not deep brown, but just a light golden color.
Yeah. The deeper brown that you go, the more flavor it is obviously going to be.
Okay.
So today, because I put the garlic in first, I don't want to get it too dark because then the
Right.
garlic is in.
Right. Okay.
So
Gotcha.
once that's all brown, now we're going to go in with the mushrooms. Straight into the pan with that. We're going to saute these mushrooms until they release all their liquid and they start to brown. That should take about 5 minutes. We're going to season that with salt and pepper. At this point, you don't want to season too much, but every single step of the way, we're gonna season.
Oh,
And
good
we're gonna build the layers of flavor.
That's a great idea, Frank. I like that technique. That's a really good idea. Every time you add something new, season for it.
Yes, and if the pan gets a little too dry, just add a little bit more oil.
Now, I know you said you just use regular olive oil, not extra virgin. Is there a reason why you didn't use extra virgin? Is there something to that?
Yes, if I would have used the extra virgin, it would have gave off with the garlic, especially for the cooking time, it would have gave off a very bitter taste.
Oh,
And that's not what we're going for.
okay.
So the amount of time that it's in there, I like to look at it as extra virgin. I always try to use it as a finishing oil.
Okay.
And olive oil, most of my dishes, I'll start out with the olive oil
Gotcha.
rather than extra virgin. I know if you go online, a lot of recipes tell you to do extra virgin, and then, but I
And
don't.
I
I
know
think
our friend Tom Curry from Temecula Olive Oil Company, when I interviewed him, he said extra virgin olive oil, poo poo, he said. There's, he said, what makes it that way? He said, they're all extra virgin. So,
it depends on how many times it's been processed, how many times it's been pressed. And that's the only difference between oil.
now, do you like Italian olive oil? Do you like California olive oil? What's your favorite olive oil?
It depends. Right now, I've been hooked on California olive oil.
And why? I actually have been too. Why are you? Oh, Ryan McNamara Allen is here. Hey, Ryan Allen, thanks for being here. I love it when you show up. Go ahead.
The reason why I got hooked on it was I always think when you're looking for an olive oil to do a taste test, you can't judge olive oil no matter what type of oil it is unless you taste it. And what you're looking for is a nice olive taste. When you put that olive oil in your mouth, you should be thinking of olives. And when I eat the California olive oil, that's the first thing I think of is olives. And
Yeah.
it's just a delicious oil.
And what makes an olive oil? Remember when I made the Béarnaise sauce the other day? It was so bitter. Like I could just taste the bitterness of that olive oil. I just really, it just was such a mistake. And so what is it that gives that, or do you know what that bitterness taste is in that olive oil?
It's the oils and the way they process.
Mhm.
If it's stone ground, you know, the purer the olive oil, the better the taste, obviously.
Right.
So that's what gives you off that bitter taste.
It almost tasted, you know how when you drink red wine, you get, I can't think of what that is in red wine that makes it bitter. Do you know the word I'm looking for here?
Acid.
No,
I
not
think it's
the
the
acid. What is it?
I believe it's the acid.
No, it's the, I don't know, Teresa, help me out here. Teresa's good at stuff like this. That the sediment that is in it, it's called something. Anyway, Teresa or Roseanne will come up with it. Hey, Brenda Mills. And Don Winderman said he totally agrees. California olive oil is his family's favorite as well.
Yeah.
Thinking of, what am I thinking of?
I tasted the olive oil and it instantly reminded me of olives, and I've been stuck on it. I mean, I just can't get enough.
And is it the name called the California the bottle that says California on it?
Yes.
Yeah, I love that one too. Matt Shaker is here. Hey, Matt, thanks for being here.
Okay, so once your mushrooms have released all their liquid, as you can see here, and they got a nice brown color to it. I don't know if you can see that.
Yes, no, you can down in the bottom. That's great.
Okay, so once they release all their liquid, they got that nice brown color on it.
Don Winderman to the rescue. Don came up with the word tannins. The tannins in red wine, and that olive oil had such a really heavy bitter tannin, and Brenda came up with it, and Teresa came up with it. All right, everybody to the rescue. All right.
At this point, we're going to deglaze the pan with a half a cup of chicken stock.
Okay.
And we're going to bring that to a simmer.
Okay.
You want to scrape the bottom of the pan to get on the bottom, it's what's called fond. And that's where all the flavor lays.
What is
When
it?
you
What's
see
it
a pan
called?
with
On the
brown
bottom,
bits,
it's called, what did you call it? Frank, what'd you say?
fond, F-O-N-D.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And when you add the liquid to the pan, what happens is it brings the temperature down and it releases all the brown bits. And that's where all your flavor comes from.
Yes, it does.
No matter what dish you're making, it's always the same process.
I know. I love to deglaze a pan. It is just my favorite thing to do. I have no idea why, but I just love it.
Yeah. That's where most of the flavor comes from.
Yep.
So once that deglazes, once it comes up to a simmer, we're going to go in with 1 cup of vodka sauce.
Okay. 1
You
cup or so, right?
you could measure it if you want, but
no
I've
need.
been doing it for
So you left the mushrooms in there as you added the vodka sauce.
Yes, the mushrooms and the garlic is still in there. The stock is still in there. And we just add in the vodka sauce at this point. We're going to mix everything together.
Mm-hmm. So if you were making a vodka sauce, let's say for this recipe, Frank, would you actually like add your tomatoes? Would you pre-make the vodka sauce, or would you actually sort of assemble the vodka sauce in that pan right now as you're going?
Usually for most of my recipes, I like it's a French word. It's called mise en place. And basically what that means is everything prepared and everything here and everything ready. And that includes the vodka sauce.
So, but what I'm asking is, do you actually, if you're making the vodka sauce, would you make it in the pan right now as you're going, or would you pre-make the vodka sauce?
No, I would pre-make it.
Okay.
I would make it
All
ahead
right.
of time.
Don asked, and I have an answer to this, and I'll give Don my answer, but let me ask you your answer. He said, do you have a favorite brand of jarred sauce?
Yes. This one is Bertolli. And I love Bertolli for 2 reasons.
Mm-hmm.
One, because of the flavor. It doesn't give off an italic flavor like a lot of these other companies do. You just put it and it tastes italic. And I don't like that.
Okay.
But
And that's Bertoli?
Yes.
Yeah. And you get that at Trader Joe's, I think, don't you?
Yeah. And the second one is Rayo's, but Rayo's can get very expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So well, once that
oh, I'm sorry. I just want to add, Rayo's is actually my my very favorite brand as well.
It's a really good brand. That's my second. You know, if I really want to impress a woman, go for Rayo's. If I have to go buy.
What if you just want to invest? You know, impress a couple of good friends. You use Bertoli.
I use Bertoli because I personally, if I have to go with a jarred sauce, that's just the flavor that I like, and it works very well with this recipe.
Okay, Susie Foreman is here. Hey, Susie. She's just joined. Got a lot of people coming in today.
Once the vodka sauce comes up to a simmer, you're going to return the chicken. And all the juice. That's flavor right there. Never throw that out.
Yep. So Roseanne said she likes Bertoli over Rayo's, and even if she has to impress a woman, she's going to use Bertoli's.
Yeah, I'm just going to add a little bit more stock.
I made it funny. I don't know if anybody caught that or not, but I made it funny. Roseanne probably caught it. Give me a thumbs up if you caught my funny. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So I just added a little bit more stock. At this point, I like to simmer the chicken first, but because I added the stock, I brought the temperature down, so I'm covering just to get the temperature back up.
Gotcha.
Once the vodka sauce comes up to a simmer, we're going to simmer that until the chicken is fully cooked through. That should take about 5 to 7 minutes.
Okay.
Now, normally, what I like to do is I like to take an internal temperature of 160 on the chicken. That's when I'll remove it. So.
Okay, so even in, I'm getting a lot of thumbs up, thanks guys. So when I'm doing chicken, you know, pieces with bones in it, or when I'm doing a whole roast chicken or a quarter chicken, I will take the temperature of the chicken, but you're saying you take the temperature of just even a thinly sliced chicken breast.
Yes.
So how do you do that, Frank? Because my experience is that if something is very thin and you put the thermometer in, it's almost like measuring it, the needle goes all the way through it. And I feel like it's not the real temperature. How do you do it?
Okay. I use two different gauges. The first gauge I use is a digital gauge. That's how I always measure my oil to see how hot the oil is. And even the sauce, put a digital thermometer on it, and that'll tell you how hot the sauce is and whatnot. As far as the chicken, if it's really thin, like a 1/4 inch, there's no way, it's impossible to get internal temperature.
Right.
Because this chicken, I only cut it the breast in half lengthwise. This is a good 3/4 inch thick.
And so can you get it into, oh, you're going to go right through the middle of it. You're going to go this way as opposed to this way.
Right.
Ah, gotcha. Arlene is here. Arlene Blue, where have you been? Nice to see you back. Okay.
So you want to get the chicken to about 160 to 165.
Okay.
Usually I go to 155 on this recipe because I have to add the cheese, and then I cover it until the cheese melts, and that'll bring up the temperature to 160, 165.
Okay.
Yeah. And this recipe, I've been making this recipe for years. I mean, when I was in high school, after my high school days, I'd sit down and think of what recipes can I make, what recipes I can. I had a date I had scheduled, and back then, things were rough. I had no money. I only had what I had in the house, and that was it. And I went out and I got some chicken breast. I had the vodka sauce already. I had the mushrooms, and I was thinking I was going to make chicken parmesan, and I just didn't have the money for the eggs, the breadcrumb, and I was basically starving. So I put this together with the vodka sauce. I threw the mushrooms in, and it's been a hit ever since. And it's a really good.
There's no real recipe actually called chicken alla paisano. You just came up with that name and made this recipe yourself?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought this was maybe just a common Italian dish, but this is.
Oh no.
This is really chicken alla Frank, right?
Yes. Now I do this.
No. I'm thinking, why didn't you name it chicken alla Franco?
I have other recipes that well, not chicken alla Franco, but the reason why I named it chicken alla paisano was because the very first time that I ever made it, I had a whole bunch of friends over.
Oh, okay.
It was just great, and everybody was sitting, we were all rapping. And one of my friends, he turned around and tells me, this would really impress a girl. And I've been calling it chicken alla paisano ever since.
Because it came from your friends. Okay. And Roseanne is asking, because I know I did ask the question about pounding it for this recipe, but she wants to know for chicken parmesan, do you slice the chicken or do you pound the chicken?
For chicken parmesan, I cut it the same way, and then I'll pound it down to a 1/4 inch.
Okay.
Now, that it depends on the recipe. Sometimes, if I'm gonna layer the chicken parm like in a baking dish, like on top of each other, I don't pound it. It would be too much. But if I'm serving like restaurant style,
too much what? Why wouldn't you pound it if you were layering it? Like too much what? Why would it be too much?
It would be too much bread inside the sauce, and it would just get soaked up with the amount of sauce. You would have to add extra sauce, and at the end, you'd probably have a mess.
Bye, Lynn. Thank you for being here. Okay. Lynn,
so for chicken parmesan, it would depend. If I'm layering it, I do not pound it because of that reason.
All right.
If I'm layering it, obviously it would go in a baking dish. And my mother used to do this when I was a child. She'd cut the chicken breast in half like I just did, and then she'd put the cheese on top and the sauce, and she'd go into a baking dish, and everything would just be laid right on top of each other. And it would just get higher and higher until it reached the top of the baking dish, and then it would go in for 40 minutes. It was good. Now, I do that, and I also do it restaurant style, where it's just one chicken breast in a pan, and that I pound thin. That you don't layer it. You just do it thin, it goes in the oven.
Okay.
Yeah. So this should take about 5 to 7 minutes to fully cook through. You're gonna turn
Frank,
it.
how are you coming on? I know you lost almost 5,000 recipes due to a bad relationship and a retaliatory woman. You love yourself some women and you get yourself into some trouble there, don't you?
Yeah, yeah, oh boy, yeah.
Oh boy. But how are you doing at recovering all those recipes?
Last 7 years, I can't say I recovered them all.
Uh,
I recovered, obviously, the old school ones from my mother, and my grandmother, she's not with us anymore. But I had to sit down with my mother and go over every single recipe, every single ingredient, the amounts. And then within the last 7 years, I had to retry them all, make sure they were all right. And yeah, it was a real hassle. So, but yeah, to recover all 5,000, I don't think I mean, I'm still working on them.
how many do you have accumulated right now?
5,000.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah, maybe a little less.
same ones, but at least you've got 5,000 recipes. That's great.
I can't say that it's the exact same recipes, but I remember the ones that I wrote, and I remember the ingredients that were in it. I jotted it down on a piece of paper, one after another, like 2 or 3 years. And then last couple of years, I've been trying to put them all back together. And
So are you saving them now on a thumb drive or up in a cloud somewhere so that you don't have that same situation? What are you doing?
With that being said, I learned my lesson.
Okay, good boy.
Now I learned how to back it up. I back it up on several different USB drives.
Okay.
And I back it up on discs.
Okay.
So, and I keep them in several places, so in case I lose one. Yeah. So yeah, I learned my lesson on that.
Yeah, don't keep them in any women's house, Frank.
What happened was we were engaged to be married.
Yeah.
And I signed the lease. It was for a house. It was leased with the option to buy.
Mhm.
At that time, I had came into a nice lump sum of money, and I put the down payment on the house. I put the rest of the money in escrow for repairs and whatnot. And I really don't want to get into it, but things happened, and she left, just didn't pay the mortgage, because I was giving her the money to pay the mortgage, and we were splitting everything 50-50. I was unaware she wasn't paying until I got home one day. Her and the baby were gone.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm standing out there. Now, I had the money because back then I was playing poker, so I had money in my pocket. So I had to live off of that. And yeah, I ended up losing everything.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
it's all right. It's all right.
Life's a journey. We just, you do the best you can to get through it, right? Everybody's had their thing for sure. But you're still standing, Frank, and you're still cooking and you're still writing recipes. So
yeah,
there you go.
In order to realize where you are, sometimes you have to get knocked down in order to get to the next step. And that's how I've been looking at it.
Yeah. Listen, look at it however you have to look at it to get yourself up and get yourself moving forward, right?
Yeah, I've been working very hard the last 7 years, and I can't say I'm totally back to where I am. Like I told you earlier, I just bought a new house, so
yeah.
As soon as
Is it here in Vegas?
Yes, it's here in Vegas, and
good.
It's going to be, everything's getting demolished. Everything's going to be rebuilt. I'm putting a brand new studio kitchen in there, a full recording studio, and hopefully.
Well, Judy Wood says, keep on cooking. Lindsay is here and says hello. And Teresa Anderson is waving. So, okay. So how are we coming? And Roseanne said, congratulations, Frank, on the new house. That's great. That's a good word. Congratulations. Yes, that's a good word. Yeah.
Yeah. So right now I don't have, because all my stuff is in storage. Until the house is built, right now everything is in storage. So I don't have my thermometer. So what I'm doing is this. Normally I've made it so many times. I know once it goes into that sauce, 20 minutes exactly, that'll be perfectly cooked. And then I'll do the field test to make sure that it's the right density.
Okay.
So
All right.
once it's fully cooked, what we're gonna do is we're gonna cover each piece of chicken with cheese,
Uh-huh.
put the cover over it and let it melt.
Okay. And Don Winderman says congratulations as well. So
Thank you.
how do you think we're coming on? If is it close to the 20 minutes yet or?
No,
No? Okay.
no, maybe another 5 more minutes.
Okay. So let's keep chatting then. Did you make penne? Like, would you normally be serving this over penne?
I would normally serve this, it depends on how much sauce I make. Sometimes I make this recipe in batches, and then, but for this, because there's 4 breasts, I consider one total large breast for 2 persons. So here we have 2 breasts, that's 4 people, 1 pound of pasta, and normally I would pre-cook the pasta while this is cooking. You know, my water would have been coming up to a boil, and then once that chicken goes in, the pasta goes in, and then it would have been done. It would have been done at the same time. But right now, I had a setback. I was supposed to have a kitchen for today, but I had to make do with the area that I have. So otherwise,
And even though I'm in my own home kitchen, I have to make do every day with the space that I have, because if I cooked back there on the stove that actually is in this kitchen, then all you would see every day is my back, right? So
yeah.
I take my sister's burner, very similar to the burner that you have. And yes, I'm in my kitchen, but my stove is not facing in this direction. I just happen to have to set up my sister's burner and I just work from here. I still call it my sister's burner, but I mean, she hasn't had that burner in 3 years. I've had that burner.
Yeah, after our last recording, I didn't really expect to come back on to do any recordings until the studio was built. So
Uh-huh.
that's why I'm having a kitchenless issue.
That's
guess
okay. And Teresa says your New York accent makes everything taste better. With a happy.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Oh, and
All right,
Susan Foreman asked me how my refrigerator was. I just want to show everybody. Can I show everybody my refrigerator? I started putting everything back
Yes.
in today.
Yeah.
I'm not quite
Well-
there, but while we're waiting, I guess I can open this so everybody can see. So things are starting to get back in little by little, and my freezer, let's see, will that open far enough? My freezer still doesn't have anything in it, but it's not leaking and there's no ice buildup, so we're in good shape there. But yeah, my refrigerator, I'm starting to get things. Oh, and I just wanted to share with everybody, like, I know I did this yesterday, but this is the zucchini that came out of the garden yesterday, which I actually was going to make today. That's so thanks for asking, Susie. Okay.
Yeah, so what I did was I already put the cheese on each piece of chicken. I put the cover on. Once that cheese melts, that takes about 2 to 3 minutes. Once that's melted, we're done. Then it's time to plate and serve. And this is very impressive. This is a very impressive dish.
Yes, very. So Lisa Dow finally found us. She was really busy today, but she's here now, and she can always go back and watch the beginning of this. She loves your recipes, Frank.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Okay, there it comes. Yum.
See, now that's what I call cheesy.
Oh, Don says his wife just saw a recipe to make zucchini butter. So I actually wanted to show that too. That's the only thing in my freezer right now is the compound butter, or the maitre d' butter that we made on Monday when I didn't have anything but soft butter that I didn't throw away. And so here's the compound butter that turned out very well, I think, don't you?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to try that recipe because that looks really good.
And so on your steaks, veals, chops, roasts, even, inside between the skin and the meat of your chicken, a little bit of the compound butter is absolutely great. So, hey, Dawn, you should have, I don't know, Dawn, if you and your wife belong to Gather with Nanny Bubby. It's our Facebook group. If you don't belong, you should definitely belong. And then you would be able to post the recipe for everybody that's here today inside Gather with Nanny Bubby. And we'd all be able to talk to you and look at that recipe and enjoy it. So just even some suggestions there. Okay. All right.
Yeah, so once the chicken comes out, you start to plate it. You finish it off with a chiffonade basil. Right here, I've been having a problem with the basil.
Yes. Yeah.
The last couple of days, I can't find any decent basil out there.
Yeah, you know, Vegas goes through kind of a high and low this time of year. And then in the dead of winter, of course, I don't know where they get the basil, but there's periods in the summer, and it's crazy because basil is a summer herb that it's just not here. Maybe it just gets too hot, but my basil grows really well. Like if I knew you needed basil, I would have given you basil because I've got plenty. Let's see. Dawn said zucchini butter is more like slow cooked shredded zucchini to serve as a spread. Interesting. And did you try Trader Joe's? Lisa said that Trader Joe's usually has good basil. Did you try it?
No, being that I'm over the road truck driver, I actually just came in last night, so I will be able to have a few hours this morning to go run around from supermarket to supermarket. And I went to 4 or 5 places, none of them had it. I went to, we found one place, and you saw what that basil looked like this morning.
Yeah, it was bad. He showed it to me. It was already brown. All the fires are hurting the produce, she said. Brenda Mills said that the fires right now in California are hurting the produce, especially in the Central Valley, I'm guessing, right, Brenda? And Roseanne said she doesn't have any basil left because the worms ate it. That's interesting. I have caterpillars that were eating my tomatoes, but my gardener has a really good eye, and so he cut them all out for me today. I can't deal with worms. I can't deal with those big green caterpillars or the rats. I freak out.
Yeah, so let me try to give you a close-up of this.
Okay. Oh, that's beautiful. Turn it around just a little bit so we can see the melted cheese. So what you did, we'll know just a little bit so that keep turning, turn again. Okay, now there you go. So you've got the mushrooms in the back and you've got the chicken breast with the cheese melted on top. That looks beautiful.
Yes. Now, normally I would serve this over a side of pasta because, believe it or not, that 1 cup of sauce that I put in there and a half a cup of stock, that makes enough of sauce for 1 pound of pasta. Right? You don't want to drown the pasta in the sauce.
Right. Might you toss so Brenda Mills says she said it looks tummy, but I think she means it looks yummy. Yes. Autocorrect. Oh my gosh, so beautiful. Frank said, Lisa, Judy Wood said looks beautiful and yummy. Don Winderman says that looks great. Susan Foreman says it looks delicious. And it looks delicious to me too. But if you, Brenda Mills, yes, is laughing. Okay, so if you toss the pasta and you don't want to drown it in sauce, might you use a little bit of, a little bit of olive oil and toss that with a little bit of salt and pepper and then put the pasta over the top of that?
Yeah, what I normally do is I remove the chicken and I remove the mushrooms for the presentation that I want. And then the drained pasta will go in the remaining sauce.
There you go.
But before I toss the pasta in there, I'll toss the pasta with a little bit of olive oil, extra virgin, no salt and no pepper because the salted water from the pasta would have been enough as well.
That's correct. And do you ever use the pasta water to thin out like a sauce, or add a little bit of the pasta water into your sauce to thin it out?
Never to thin it. Pasta water, I only use to thicken the sauce. Believe it or not, it thickens.
Thicken it?
Yes.
Because you're using the starch.
Correct. It actually acts as a thickening agent rather than a thinner. I mean, if you put enough in it, it will thin it.
Right. Just adds a little moisture and then it thickens.
Right.
Like if you didn't have enough of that sauce in there right now, and you wanted to add a little more, would you add a little bit of pasta water and then sort of cook it
Yes.
down to thicken, but you'd have more sauce?
Yes, you could use the pasta water or more chicken stock.
Okay.
I would prefer to use more pasta water. If I didn't have enough of sauce, I would use the pasta water, but I would use a lot of it. I'd make the sauce very thin and then I'd cook it down into my desired thickness. And
Amazing, Frank. Well, this was a great summer barbecue tournament winner for everybody, right? We all learned from each other. And I'm sorry you didn't win the big one. That was, left up to Lene, who won the big pull on that one.
I can't win them all.
But you can't win them all, although Lene does win them all. But I don't know. She said, Marla, I've never won anything in my life, but she's certainly been a winner with Nanny Bubby. But anyway, we're happy that you won one of the weeks, and we're always happy to have you here, Frank. You should come back again and again and show us more of your recipes, and we all think the world of you. Brenda Mills said thank you. Roseanne said wow, yum. Don Winderman did say that he always uses pasta water to thin the sauce, and I think probably when you first put it in, it does liquefy it, so right, but if it simmered a bit, it would actually thicken it, correct?
Yes.
Which is good news, because sometimes if you add too much pasta water, you actually do want to thicken it. And if you'll just let it cook a while, it will thicken, correct?
Yeah, it depends. Like I said, if I didn't have enough of sauce and I wanted to stretch the sauce,
Yes.
I would put maybe a whole cup of pasta water in it.
That's
Now,
right.
if you want to thicken the sauce, put a little pasta water and the starch, especially because of the pasta. Once you start flipping it and you start tossing it, it's going to thicken. It's not going to thin. So. Yeah.
Good. Okay, everybody's giving hands and applause. How about a few thumbs up? Judy Wood says, thanks, Frank and Marla. She's got a great bottle of wine there. Roseanne said, I'm making chicken parmesan for dinner tonight. Just finished slicing and pounding. Thanks, Frank. That's awesome.
Yes.
So if you were to drink, what's your favorite wine accompaniment that you would have with this tonight, Frank?
With this, because it's chicken, I have a rule of thumb when it comes to wine pairing. If it's a light piece of meat, I always go with a white one.
Okay.
And for this type of dish, I like to keep it in the Italian region of Pinot Noir.
Okay.
Grigio.
Good.
So it depends.
All right. Lisa says Chianti, and she gives you a thumbs up and 100%. Great job. Mia Camargo is here. So there we go. And Don, excuse me, Don Winderman says, have a wonderful evening. Blessings to all.